Okay, this is Great Battles of the American Civil War, subtitle The Classic Regimental Battle System. This is the Simulation Design Incorporated, also called the first edition of Dead of Winter. I'm laying it out first time. I'm going to be playing part of the battlefield here. That's my intention anyways. But first I want to talk about the game itself. Oh yeah, the very first thing that comes to mind when I think of this game, this first edition of Dead of Winter, first thing that comes to mind is complexity. I like it in discussions of wargaming complexity when there's a distinction between at least two broad types of wargame complexity, procedural complexity or complexity in processes, and then versus design complexity or complexity in design. Again, I'm going to throw some things out there. This is not based on extensive first-hand wargaming experience at all, but I think maybe Starfleet Battles is a good example of process or procedural complexity. Basic mechanics or repeated mechanics, core mechanics to Starfleet Battles are not complex, but there are just a lot of processes and a lot of detail in the process, in each process. Then you have what I call design complexity, which is even if the procedures or processes are not especially complex, by virtue of the design there's a complexity, and I characterize it like this. These type of war games are the ones that leave me thinking hard about, okay, what do you actually do? What do you do as the player in the game? Yeah, it's just a different kind of complexity. Okay, so complexity is what I think of when I think of first edition Dead of Winter here. Going to, or taking a look at Board Game Geek, this design, okay, first of all, it has a mildly respectable 6.9 user rating, based on 43 ratings, so that's not bad. 6.9 isn't that bad, but its weight is 4.43. That is heavy for a, well, that's heavy for a Hex Encounter war game, which is funny because on the back of the box it's given as a 7 out of 10. By the Board Game Geek rating, I definitely don't call that a 7. That's at least an 8, not an 8.5 or 9. But depending on how you want to look at it, maybe, well, yeah, it's at least an 8. Okay, so by comparison, let's do some comparisons. Way up at the top end, I think, way up on the complexity, high end, is Starfleet Battles Silver Anniversary Master Rulebook. I don't own this, but I've read about it online. Oh, it has almost the same. Wait, is that the same? So so where we have 43 Board Game Geek ratings, user ratings for Dead of Winter First Edition, we have a very similar number, 47 ratings for the Starfleet Battles Silver Anniversary Master Rulebook. This is the, what is it? This is the 400 plus page rulebook. Wow. That's a phone book. Anyways, it has a very nice 8.5 user rating. Wow. And considering that Board Game Geek rating, or weight rating, is a 4.86. 4.86. Wow. That's heavy. Alright, so that's my, that is substantially heavier than first edition Dead of Winter here, but now let's go to something much more known, much more widely known, with 3.2 thousand ratings user ratings, giving it an 8.0, definitely a superstar in wargaming, whether you like to actually play the game or not. Of course, I'm talking about Advanced Squad Leader. Its weight rating is a 4.71. 4.71, so still higher than First Edition Dead of Winter here. Dead of Winter really isn't close to Advanced Squad Leader, but still, if you think of ASL as 4.71, Dead of Winter here isn't that far behind at 4.43. So again, definitely not in the same category as ASL, but maybe the next category down in complexity. Alright, so Dead of Winter 4.43 weight rating. Let's compare that to another fairly well known. I wanted to grab a title from the battles from the Age of Reason series, because I think of those as also so I thought of Starfleet battles as very complex. I thought of ASL as very complex. I also thought of Bar series as very complex, but actually Battle of Fontenoy is another step down in complexity. So Battle of Fontenoy comes in at 4.18. 4.18. So this game here, by Board Game Geek weight ratings, is going to be, measurably more complex. So that's going to be interesting. Now I thought it'd be interesting to compare, again, this first edition with a 4.43 weight rating to the second edition of Dead of Winter. Not even close. The 3.95 for the second edition of Dead of Winter, which I guess is really not the same game at all. I have the second edition Dead of Winter as well. Don't even have any interest in playing it yet. Not excited about chit pull at all. But I'll get to it eventually, and I'll certainly play it if I have a face-to-face opportunity to play the new generation, the new I don't know what you want to call it, the third generation. Yeah, I guess you call it the third generation of GBACW. So I think you have the first generation based on the original Terrible Swift Sword. Then you have the second generation, which is this one, which I guess is defined by the turn continuation table. Well, I'll go on that assumption. With that, I am very interested in seeing the turn continuation. That's one of the reasons why I even am looking to delve into this first edition of Dead of Winter. I'm actually looking for the turn continuation table in action. I've read enough about it. I want to see it in action. But yeah, the second edition drops sizably, drops measurably down to 3.95. So I thought that would be a good comparison. Now all the games that I mentioned have substantially higher user ratings on Board Game Geek, so there really is no comparison there. Next, I want to consider the table of contents first for the rule book. This is really I've really come to. I never thought I would be saying this. I've come to really dislike split rule books. I never thought I would be saying that. So this one has a basic rules book, and then it has a quite substantial game rule book. So I'll see how that works. But I'm just going to consider the basic rule book first, and then I'll just have to deal with the changes brought in with the what do you want to call it, the exclusive or battle rules. The table of contents of the rules. Maybe I should get that next time. My last thing is, I did set up a part of the battle here. I have roughly a couple of brigades going up against, or a couple of brigades on each side, several brigades on each side. But this is fighting the far Union right. I'm going to be playing McGowan's division against a Union division. I can't remember the Union commander's name. Again, Union far right.